So in the previous video we saw about the prenatal phase of oogenesis. So in this video we will see about the postnatal phase of oogenesis. In the previous video, in the prenatal phase of oogenesis, at last we saw that the primary oocyte in the primordial follicle gets arrested at the phase of diplotin 1 of prophase 1 of meiosis 1. So in this video we will see what happens to the primordial follicle which is arrested at meiosis 1 along with the primary oocyte. So before that I would like to mention some points. So after birth up to puberty, most of the primary oocyte within the primordial follicle gets degenerated. So around the puberty, both the female ovary has only about 40,000 primordial follicle with primary oocyte arrested in diplotin stage. So this is the primordial follicle which is arrested at diplotin stage of prophase 1 of meiosis 1, which has taken place before birth. So now we are gonna to see what happens to the primordial follicle after birth. So during the puberty, the FSH starts stimulating the primordial follicle. So the primordial follicle starts growing. So we already said it is called as follicle because it is surrounded by a flat follicular cells. The flat follicular cells as soon as they start growing becomes cuboidal follicular cells. So now what happens? The growing primordial follicle keeps on growing. So what happens in the next stage is the cuboidal cells surrounding the primary oocyte starts proliferating. So the cuboidal cells surrounding the primary oocyte starts proliferating as a sign of next stage of a growing primordial follicle. They keep on proliferating. So at one stage it becomes as a stratified cuboidal epithelial cells surrounding the primary oocyte. So this primary oocyte surrounded by stratified cuboidal epithelial cells is called primary ovarian follicle. So what happens at this stage is the cuboidal epithelial cells surrounding the primary oocyte start secreting a glycoprotein layer inwards. Like this, they start secreting a glycoprotein layer inwards, and the primary oocyte starts secreting a glycoprotein layer outwards. So what happens now? There starts arising a glycoprotein layer between the primary oocyte and the flattened cuboidal cells. Cuboidal epithelial cells surrounding the primary oocyte. So this layer of glycoprotein between the primary oocyte and the cuboidal epithelial cells is called zona pellucida. So in this stage another process also takes place. So from the ovarian stroma starts developing a connective tissue around the cuboidal epithelial cells. They start developing around the cuboidal epithelial cells, a specialized connective tissue which arises from the ovarian follicle, ovarian stroma. So these all the things which takes place in the primary ovarian follicle. So now it progresses to the next stage. What happens in the next stage? So this is the primary oocyte. It is surrounded by a glycoproteinaceous layer called zona pellucida, and some of the cuboidal epithelial cells are closely packed with the primary oocyte along with the zona pellucida. These cells are called cumulus oophorus. So at this stage there arises a fluid filled cavity and this fluid filled cavity is called antrum. And also at this stage the specialized connective tissue surrounding the follicle has completely developed. And this specialized connective tissue is called theca folliculi. What must be the name of the follicle with the primary oocyte surrounded by the zona pellucida and the zona pellucida again surrounded by the cumulus oophorus with the fluid filled cavity called antrum, and the whole follicle surrounded by a specialized connective tissue called theca folliculi? What must be the name? This is called as the secondary follicle. And do not forget that the secondary follicle still contains the primary oocyte. So after that I would like to mention one thing, that during every menstrual cycle about 5 to 15 primordial follicles start growing due to the stimulation of FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. During each menstrual cycle about 5 to 15 primordial follicle starts growing in the same manner, right? But only one secondary follicle progresses the next stage of maturation or development or growth. It happens just after the LH surge. You know that LH surge just takes place 48 hours before the ovulation, right? So as I already said, only one secondary follicle continues to grow, right? So what happens? The primary oocyte of a developing secondary follicle just resumes its first meiotic division and produces a secondary oocyte and a first polar body. You know that it is surrounded by the zona pellucida and cumulosophorous cells. And again, the mature secondary follicle also has a fluid-filled cavity called the antrum, and it is also surrounded by thicker folliculi. The cells which are close the layer, the layer of the specialized connective tissue close to the cuboidal cells is called theca interna, and away from that is called the theca externa. This fully matured secondary follicle along with the secondary oocyte is called Graafian follicle. Before that, I would like to say some features about the secondary oocyte. I hope you all remember what did I say in the first, that is in the prenatal phase of the oogenesis. I said that the primordial follicle along with the primary oocyte gets arrested in the diplotin stage of prophase 1 of the meiosis 1. So before the reduction division has taken place, it is arrested. So it does contain diploid number of chromosomes, that is 46 chromosomes, and a foreign amount of DNA since replication has taken place. So now once the meiosis 1 has completed, that is the reduction division has completed, the chromosome must have reduced into half of the number as that of the original, right? So what must be the chromosome number of the secondary oocyte? It must be haploid, that is 23 chromosomes, and to an amount of DNA. Since it is equally split between the secondary oocyte and the first polar body, the size of the daughter cells has nothing to do with this chromosomal number and DNA, because it is only the cytoplasm that completely gets transferred to the secondary oocyte from the primary oocyte, and the polar body just hardly gets some amount of cytoplasm, and that's what the size varies between the secondary oocyte and the polar body. Another interesting thing I would like to mention that the secondary oocyte just 3 hours before the ovulation gets arrested in the metaphase of a second meiotic division, right? This second meiotic division gets completed only if sperm approaches the released ovum. If not, it just gets arrested in the metaphase stage of second meiotic division. So what happens next? The Graafian follicle rupture to release the secondary oocyte, that is the ovum. So the ovum, that is a secondary oocyte along with the first polar body, gets released during the ovulation, and the follicle which has been ruptured gets degenerated into an yellow color body called corpus luteum, which is responsible for the synthesis of progesterone. So if sperm comes, once the sperm approaches the secondary oocyte, it just starts resuming its second meiotic division, which has been arrested in the metaphase stage of second meiotic division. It just resumes that and completes its second meiotic division to become a mature ovum. So then it becomes a female pronucleus. The genetic material within the ovum gets rearranged into the female pronucleus, and the genetic material of the sperm gets rearranged into the male pronucleus, and that is something that happens which when sperm approaches. If not the sperm approaches, it just degenerates so that it gets absorbed by the epithelial cells of the fallopian tube itself. Just it degenerates there itself. The ovum, the secondary oocyte are released from the ovary. Waits for about 24 to 48 hours in the fallopian tube itself for the sperm to approach. If not the sperm approaches, then it gets degenerated within the fallopian tube, and the degenerated material, the organic material, gets reabsorbed by the epithelial cells of the fallopian tube. Another interesting thing that I would like to mention is, consider this as a secondary oocyte and the first polar body, right? And it is surrounded by a glycoproteinaceous layer called the zona pellucida, and immediately it is surrounded by the cuboidal cells called cumulus oophorus, right? So once the Graafian follicle rupture and when the secondary oocyte gets released into the fallopian tube, right, the cumulus oophorus rearrange themselves in a crown-like fashion. So they rearrange themselves as a crown-like fashion, and this crown-like arrangement of cumulus oophorus, that is cuboidal epithelial cells, is called corona radiata. So just as a gist, I would like to give the process of oogenesis in the form of flow chart. So when it starts, just in the 4th month of the intrauterine life, the primordial germ cell starts appearing on the wall of the yolk sac. Primordial germ cell. So what is the chromosomal number? It is diploid and contains 46 chromosomes, right? Chromosomes. So it undergoes mitosis to produce oogonia. So again, the chromosomal number is maintained. Again, it is a diploid and contains 46 chromosomes. Then the oogonia enlarges to form primary oocyte. So just it has undergone an enlargement, that's all. The oogonia has undergone an enlargement to produce the primary oocyte. So again the chromosomal number is diploid, 46 chromosomes. So after this, the primary oocyte starts its first meiotic division. So at one stage within the primordial follicle, it just gets arrested in the diplotent stage of prophase 1 of meiosis 1. So after some time, it just completes when the primordial follicle just starts growing as a result of the stimulation by the follicle stimulating hormone. It just starts growing as the primordial follicle starts growing to primary ovarian follicle, then a secondary ovarian follicle. So the primary oocyte within the secondary ovarian follicle undergoes just resumes the first meiotic division and completes it to produce a secondary oocyte. So the result of first meiotic division is a secondary oocyte along with a polar body. That is first polar body. It has resulted as a result of first meiotic division. right? Then the second meiotic division starts, but it also gets arrested at the metaphase stage of second meiotic division. So if the second meiotic division gets completed, when it completes means when only when the sperm approaches the secondary oocyte in the fallopian tube, it completes the second meiotic division, right? If not, it just gets arrested in the metaphase stage of second meiotic division. If it completes, what is the result? It results in a mature ovum and second polar body. So secondary oocyte also undergoes the second meiotic division, as well as the first polar body also undergoes the second meiotic division. So it results in 2 daughter cells. Totally that means it results in 3 polar bodies and 1 mature ovum. So the result of a second meiotic division is 1 ovum and 3 polar bodies. And also we have to discuss about the chromosome number. The secondary oocyte contains half the amount of chromosomes as that of the primary oocyte, since it has undergone a reduction division. The primary oocyte has undergone a reduction division. It results in reduced chromosome number in its daughter cell, that is haploid number of chromosomes, that is 23 chromosomes. And of course the second meiotic division is similar to that of the mitotic division. So the chromosome number is maintained, and hence the chromosome number of a mature ovum is haploid number of chromosomes, and so the 23 chromosomes. All the polar bodies contains haploid number of chromosomes, that is 23 chromosomes. I hope everybody will have a clear concept on oogenesis. Thank you for watching. Thank you.